that respect.
It's almost, for years everyone's wanted closer racing and more in terms of the entertainment side and also in terms of the fairness side, that like it's not just like three bikes on the grid capable of winning. So the rules have been adapted over the last few years, making it closer and closer and closer. But as a byproduct of that, and I think Whittam was talking about this the other day at that show, having so many bikes so close together, there's an unwanted side product that it makes it really dangerous, because when you've got groups of 10, 12 bikes all together, all pretty much exactly the same pace, people then resort to dangerous tactics, dangerous maneuvers. I was watching the junior super sport race. I know that's in World Superbikes, but the 300s or 400s or whatever they are, and at Portimao the other day, and nobody wanted to lead onto the straight, and it was absolutely ridiculous in terms of the danger. The leader would get to the third last corner, that right hander, and then basically just stop on the racing line and just back everyone up. But then obviously, because the next person doesn't want to lead, and there's that sort of skill effect, and then you've got people that are like 5 riders back that are like nearly taking each other out. And honestly, their qualifying session actually got red flagged because everyone was waiting for somebody for a tow, and the organisers pulled them in and give everyone a right roasting. And it's sort of trickling down even at British. It's there's big packs, and I mean, on one side it's exciting to watch, but when, say, the old 125 days where the bikes, there was less parity amongst the bikes, you would have like, say, when Nico Terral, and it would sort of spread out quite quickly, and you wouldn't get 15 bikes.
Yeah, you'd get the difference between the factory bikes and the privateers, even in the smaller classes, but they're also even now. But like something you said before with the style of riding, the racing has changed. Even I've noticed, I've been in the Moto3 now since 19, and I've noticed the change in the style of racing since then to now, because I think there's this kind of urgency for the youngsters to kind of go through as quick as they can. So they've seen the likes of like Raul Fernandez. He did CEV, Moto3 and Moto2. Now he's going to MotoGP in consecutive years. So I think one of the problems is that kids start at CEV level now really young, and they say, well, I can get through the next World Championship, and keep going and going and going. And they're not staying in a class long enough to learn any kind of, shall we say, respect or any kind of riding skills or anything like that. So the style of racing now for me is they just come in and there's no kind of skill with the being able to do a fast lap. They just dive bomb each other at every corner, and they just, for me, that's what's making them like slower and more dangerous, because everyone's backed up, because they just, instead of being able to run a nice fast, even when you saw Jorge Martin when he won the Moto3, he'd kind of get to the front and there'd be a few of them and they'd be able to run a race. But now it's just maybe 10 of them at the front, and they're all dive bombing each other, slowing each other up, so then they're all next to each other down the straights, and accidents like this happen.
And I guess one of the biggest dangers in bike racing period is going down and the risk of getting ran over, and obviously that's massively amplified if there's like 8 bikes all within a short space. Usually, like, say, on especially Grand Prix tracks, if you just crash, like, say, a low side somewhere and you slide off into either the gravel or the grass or whatever, 9 times out, well, probably 99 times out of 100, if like in terms of the improvements with leathers, helmets, safety barriers, all of that sort of stuff, the biggest danger now is getting ran over.
Other riders,
and
I think going back to the Supersport 300 thing, the sheer quantity of the grid is just, it's too big. It's like 40 odd. And it's crazy the amount of riders on the grid.
Another big problem with that is because they've got rid of the what used to be the European Superstock 600 class, which was, I did a few races in it and it was mental, like proper mental. But the problem, at least with a 600, there's a lot of skill in riding one fast. So you would have the field spread out sort of in the correct order. One of the biggest problems with the junior Supersport class is because there's not that much to ride in them bikes, the difference between the fastest person and the 25th person, the 25th person can stay with the fastest person by the slipstream. There's not that much to the bikes.
No.
So by making them so easy to ride, and this is just what Whittam was saying as well, by making the junior Supersport bikes so like relatively easy to ride compared to, like, say, if you compared them to like old 125s or things like that, it just means that you can't break the pack. Nobody's skill level is good enough to be that much better to break the pack. So you've got like the best riders and the people who are a lot less skilled all within this, and then a bit of desperation comes in because you maybe sat in 10th and you can see the winner there and you're thinking, I don't really have the pace, but go on, I'll just
slipstream all these and just you can get past.
Put yourself in the position of someone who's say 10th, and there's glory of, I mean, if you finish 10th, you're going home pretty cheesed off. You think to yourself, I can lunge them and take a bit of a risk, but I might get a podium. You're an idiot not to have a go, wouldn't you? So you can't actually blame the people for being a bit desperate. Because they're just doing the best they can. But there's definitely got to be something done with that class. The 3 sort of high profile fatalities. And then I would say it was lucky that there wasn't another fatality.
It's all in the smaller classes, though, isn't it? You never see it really in the bigger ones because it's more spread out. So.
But it all seems to be coming. It's been an issue for a while. Don't get me wrong, but it all seems to be clumped together. It comes in threes, as the old saying goes, doesn't it? It just.
Well, hopefully that'll be the last of it for a while.
Really bleeding hopes up.
But I think it is. It all stems from the smaller, like, learning classes, if you like, coming through CEV. They're all that desperate now. I think I can get through this class, the next class, and the next class, and do what Fernandez has done or Acosta, and they can just keep moving on without actually spending enough time in the class learning the way to ride properly.